Well, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Jeremy Leffler and I work in the policy office at the National Science Foundation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you today to our final week of the NSF Virtual Grants Conference. Before we begin, we'd like to take a quick poll to find out a little bit more about you. If you're using Zoom from a desktop browser, you may not be able to access the poll. For best results, please be sure you're viewing this presentation from the Zoom application. So if you attended our first week of the Grants Conference, you know that this is taking place over 2 weeks with 2 sessions per day. The content for this webinar series is similar to what it would be for an in-person Grants Conference. All of the sessions that you're seeing have been pre-recorded. However, we will be taking live Q&A. For information about the sessions, the presentations, and our speakers, please visit the conference website. If you have questions, please submit them using the Q&A function in Zoom. We are encouraging attendees to upvote questions. To upvote a question, navigate to the Q&A function and click on the thumbs up button, and this will bring the most popular questions to the top of the Q&A window. We are answering your questions as they come in, and we will continue to answer your questions live at the conclusion of the presentation. Do keep in mind, however, that we do have large audiences for these sessions, so we may not be able to answer all of your questions. Again, this session is also being recorded and it will be made available on our website, nsfpolicyoutreach.com, in the coming weeks. And we'll be sending email announcements as soon as the sessions have been posted. If you have any technical difficulties during the presentation, please use the Q&A and someone will assist you. So I want to thank you for participating in our poll. We're happy and excited that you can join us, as this marks our first ever virtual grants conferences. We've been doing these for a long time at NSF, and they began in 1993 as small one-day events, and they've grown over the years to 2 full days and now to a virtual event. I also want to remind you to please be on the lookout for survey emails so that you can provide feedback to us on how this has been going. We hope that you enjoy the conference and all of the sessions that you have chosen to attend. I'm now pleased to present this session titled Financial Reporting and the Award Cash Management Service. This session will be covered by Dorothy Battle, who is an accountant in our Division of Financial Management.
Hello, I'm Dorothy Battle, grantee accountant with the Division of Financial Management at NSF, and welcome. Today we will discuss the NSF Cash Management Branch processes. On our agenda today, we will talk about the NSF Cash Management operations. I will give you general information and answers to frequent questions. We will talk about canceling appropriations, program income, payment testing, unallowable costs, and cash on hand validation. The Award Cash Management Service has been in existence since April 2013. We have provided service to over 2,500 institutions, small companies, and individuals. The Award Cash Management Service is NSF's approach to award payments and post-award financial processes. This approach requires the submission of award-level payment amounts each time funds are requested. Where is my money? Updated bank account. The university recently opened a new bank and would like to start receiving NSF payments to the new account. As the ACMS user, you have just received confirmation that your organization's SAM.gov registration has been updated with the new bank account just today. When should you submit the next payment request if you would like the payment to be sent to the new bank account? Today, tomorrow, 3 business days, or 1 week? And the answer is 3 business days. The bank account update is received during the nightly interface on the business day following the effective date of the change in SAM.gov. Where is my money and what causes delays? Making unnecessary entries in the remarks field of your transaction causes the transaction to require NSF review. Inactive SAM registrations also cause delays in getting your money. Remarks versus internal comments. Only use remarks for items you wish to communicate to NSF. Utilize internal comments for any notes you wish to leave to help your organization identify the purpose of the transaction. Adjustment versus request to reopen an award. Your organization recently received a late supplier subrecipient invoice for costs incurred during the award project period. However, after logging into ACMS, you find the award has been financially closed. Which answer best applies to this scenario? In order to receive reimbursement for this expense, you must send a request to your Division of Grants and Agreements official to reopen and extend the award. In order to receive reimbursement for this expense, you must submit an adjustment via ACMS, provide a justification for the adjustment, and maintain appropriate supporting documentation in the event this expense is audited or selected for additional advanced monitoring. B, in order to receive reimbursement for this expense, you must submit an adjustment via ACMS, provide a justification for the adjustment, and maintain appropriate supporting documentation in the event this expense is audited or selected for additional advanced monitoring. Adjustments to financially closed awards are permitted when reimbursement for expenses incurred during the award project period are required. A request to reopen and extend the award is only required when new spending is required. Limitations for adjustments to closed award. Transactions total must be greater or equal to 0. Individual award requests must be greater or equal to $1. Upward adjustments are available only for 14 months after the award is financially closed. Downward adjustments are available until the funding appropriation cancels. Exception to this timeline is when canceling appropriations are involved. Where is my money? Partial payments. If you receive a partial payment from NSF, it is usually because the award is financially closed, or the award is no longer available to be adjusted. University requested a payment involving 5 awards for a total of $125,000. However, the payment that was received 2 days later was for $120,000. Which scenario best describes the reason for the reduced payment? The payment to the university was offset by a debit settlement payment reported against the organization's EIN and processed by the Treasury Offset Program. Payment request was partially accepted by the interface for one of the awards, failed to create an invoice against the PO in NSF financial system. Payment for the remaining 4 awards were processed and a partial payment was sent. The NSF Cash Management Branch retained part of the funds in order to pay for this year's employee summer picnic. And so the answer is either A or B could apply in this situation. Where is my money? Why did I receive less money than requested? Usually, partially accepted transactions are one of the reasons, and top offset is the other reason. The Treasury Offset Program is a program in which the U.S. government issued a payment, and you can call the Treasury Offset Program top call center to find out the additional instructions as to why they took the payment. They usually do not notify NSF when they do this. Appropriated funds. Why does this matter to you? NSF is an independent federal agency bound by fiscal law. NSF operates on annual appropriations and the golden rule of fiscal law: purpose, time, and amount. Each year, millions of dollars of obligated funds must be deobligated. Federal Appropriation Council 5 years after their period of availability. So if you receive an award from NSF during the 2015 fiscal year, it will cancel in 5 years after that period. After September 30th, neither the awardee nor NSF can access any remaining funds. Canceling appropriations critical date. Each year, we will close a few days earlier so that we have time to do our final fiscal year-end adjustments. We ask that you submit your payments so that we can do our year-end closeout for FY21. After the cancel date, no adjustments, no extensions, no further transactions for these counseling funds can be submitted. GCMS will continue to reach out to awardees who have counseling funds throughout fiscal year 2021. For those who are trying to submit a no-cost extension on canceling appropriations, this is the type of error message that you will likely see once you're doing that. If you're trying to extend an award, you can only extend it to the canceling appropriation date, which is September 30th, 2021. Hypothetical scenario, true or false? The university is managing award 1412334 with initial funds obligated in fiscal year 2015. Subsequent funding was received in fiscal year 2017. The university receives a no-cost extension for the award that extends the period of performance of the award from May 31st, 2020 to May 31st, 2021. During the spring of 2021, the university receives a letter from the NSF Cash Management Branch notifying the university that the award has counseling funds, which will cancel on September 30th, 2021. True or false, the university can ignore the counseling funds email. The Cash Management Branch must have made a mistake in sending this notice. Well, the answer is false. This is a very important notice that we send to you all. And when we send the notice to you, we ask that you notify the PIs so that the PIs will be aware that the money must be spent before the end of the counseling appropriation. And this is just a diagram showing that an award is made with the original amount of the funding will cancel at the end of 2021. The award receives supplemental funding that will cancel at the end of 2023. So the original funding must be spent by the end of 2021. And this supplemental funding will continue until the end of 2023. This is a appropriation life cycle, and this just explains that how we determine when an award will cancel based on the fiscal year date, and if the award was given from October 1, 2014 through September 30th, 2015, the award will be expiring up to 2021. Advance payment of canceling funds. This is a scenario. University was granted a no-cost extension to May 31st, 2021 for an award involving counseling funds. There's $100,000 available in the award with $50,000 counseling September 30th, 2021. The university estimates $30,000 of the counseling funding will be spent by the end of September 2021 and would like to request advance payment of the counseling funds prior to the ACM shutdown period. How much should their advance payment be for? Should it be for $0, $30,000, or $50,000? And the answer is $30,000 advance payment should be limited to the expected expenditures. Accessing NSF systems with your NSF user ID. In this scenario, after 20 years, Bob is retiring. He has been your organization's primary point of contact and expert for managing NSF awards, and this responsibility will now be transitioning to you. You need to request a payment using ACMS. However, your management has not established an NSF user ID with ACMS permissions in your name. What should you do? True or false? I can continue using Bob's NSF user ID and password to access NSF systems because he has left me a post-it note with that information. There's no need to bother anyone else with such a trivial request. True or false? False. You must contact your NSF organizational rep and have them create a user ID for you. Each user is required to have a unique ID. Never share an ID or a password, and only one account per user. Group user accounts and passwords are not permitted for the NSF ACMS system. Program income. Each year, NSF requires an annual submission of a program income worksheet for any active awards within the federal fiscal year. Most recent submission that we are working on is for FY 2020. Typically, submission is typically due by November 14th of each year. This is a program income scenario using the additive method. On June 1, 2017, your institution was awarded a grant for $500,000 to conduct research. The award is subject to the standard treatment of program income. A piece of equipment funded by the grant has downtime while not used for the grant's purpose. Since this equipment is highly specialized, non-federal entities express interest in using the equipment when available. You charge and collect usage fees in the amount of $25,000. Your institution draws down a total of $230,000 in ACMS as of September 30th for reimbursement of project expenses. In your 2019 program income report for this award, you will report $255,000, $230,000, $0, or $25,000. And the program income amount that you will report is $25,000. If no additional program income is earned, what is your maximum reimbursement available from NSF? $500,000. Even though you earned $25,000 in program income, you're only allowed to draw $500,000 from NSF. Here's a program income scenario using the deductive method. And normally, grantees will have a special clause in their award letter when the deductive method is the type of method that you should use. Usually the standard method is the additive method. In this scenario, on June 1, 2017, your institution was awarded a grant for $100,000, subject to conditions found within FL 26, to hold a workshop. You charge admission and collect $25,000 in registration fees. Your institution draws down a total of $30,000 in ACMS as of September 30th. In your program income report for this award, you will report $55,000, $30,000, 0, or $25,000. And the correct answer is $25,000. If no additional program income is earned, what is your maximum reimbursement available from NSF? $100,000, $125,000, or $75,000. And the maximum reimbursement available from NSF will be $70,000 because this is the deductive method. You have to reduce your draws by any program income that is earned. Program income scenario after the project end date. On May 31st, 2019, your institution NSF research grant has ended. The award was subject to a standard treatment of program income and received $500,000 in NSF funding. During the life of the grant, a piece of equipment funded by the grant was rented out to a non-federal entity. Fees were charged and collected throughout the award's period of performance, totaling $200,000. As of September 30th, your institution shows a total of $500,000 in ACMS for project expenditures. Additionally, your institution's project ledger shows you have expended $150,000 of the program income generated. With the $50,000 of program income remaining, your institution should transfer the funds to help stock the cafeteria's vending machines, use the funds to help cover a shortfall in funding received from an NIH grant, provide research administration staff with cash awards for their hard work, or remit the remaining balance back to NSF. And the answer is remit the remaining balance back to NSF, of course. Program income is gross income earned by the awardee organization that is directly generated by a supported activity or earned as a result of NSF funding during the period of performance. This would include things such as fees for services performed, the use of rental or real property acquired under the grant, the sale of commodities, of items fabricated under the grant, and fees charged to register participants for a workshop or conference. Interest earned on advances of program funds is not program income. The NSF treatment of program income is the standard treatment of program income is additive unless otherwise specified in the grant. Additive income is income earned to be retained by the grantee and added to the funds committed to the project by NSF, and thus used to further project objectives. Efforts should be made to avoid having excess program income at the end of the project. In general, program income should be expended prior to requesting reimbursement against the grant from NSF. Special treatment may be added to notice of award. Deductive must be remitted to NSF by crediting costs otherwise chargeable against the grant. For example, administration of an NSF conference or group travel award grant conditions. Which of these scenarios, this next scenario involves NSF monitoring activities, spending review case. Which of these scenarios would you approve? Request to spend $12,000 for 2 computers and graphic cards that would be used to conduct specialized work on a 4-year grant. Request to spend $3,500 to repair a centrifuge the team was using to conduct grant-related research funded by the NSF award. Request to spend $27,000 for wearable eye tracking units that has been part of the award's budget. Normally, the request to spend $12,000 for 2 computers and graphics card that would be used to conduct specialized work, that would only have been used for a maximum of 6 days during the 4-year grant period. And also to request to spend $3,500 to repair a centrifuge the team was using to conduct grant-related research funded by the NSF award. However, the repairs took place 1 day before the award's 4-term year ended. Plus, the repair was for a general piece of laboratory equipment the university had used and would continue to use to benefit multiple projects. And also to request, you could request to spend $27,000 for wearable eye tracking units that had been part of the awards budget that weren't received until the grant, after the grant ended. Payment testing support documentation. The university received a payment testing request from NSF. After providing the reconciled general ledger that supported the selected payment, an equipment purchase had been selected for further testing, and NSF has requested detailed documentation to support the reimbursed expense. As the university liaison, you contacted the PI and department staff to request this support documentation, and they have provided a 122-page PDF file filled with internal university email correspondence, equipment quotes, equipment invoice, and university approval documents. True or false? Forward the provided support document as is to NSF for review to satisfy the request for support documentation. And this would be false. This is an example of what we would like to refer to as the kitchen sink of support documentation. Please trim down the support documentation to only include what is necessary to support the expense. Kitchen sink documents, support documents complete the review approval process. Cash on hand validation. Each year, NSF conducts a cash on hand validation. We randomly sample 517 institutions and achieve a 99% response rate. Email notices are sent out from our NSF accrual mailbox. We request that you report the difference between your award expenses against the NSF payments received as of our fiscal year ended September 30th, 2018. Our statistical validation yielded a negative $384 million cash on hand balance, which was within our 2.46% of our calculations. Your role in our annual cash on hand validation is to respond to our NSF survey email address. And the survey that we ask, in the survey, we ask you these questions. Did award expenses equal ACMS drawdowns as of September 30th? If not, note the amount of positive or negative cash on hand as of September 30th. The submission must include the name and position of the party responsible for the information and the date of submission to NSF. We used to capture the cash on hand validation on this NSF Federal Financial Report form, but we no longer capture it. But it is the same information as you can see where the pink arrow, the cash on hand balance. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for attending, and we will now take questions from our audience.
Thank you, Dorothy. If you can share your microphone and video, we'll go ahead and take some of these questions. We do have some time left, so if you do have questions, please do submit them in the Q&A. So I guess we'll start first. There seem to be mostly questions about program income, Dorothy. So I take the first one to say, can you can you talk a minute just and explain program income as a definition, and then we'll go into some of the questions that cover program income.
Okay, program income is income made on a project that is funded by NSF. And in most instances, you will use the additive method unless it is stated in your award letter that the deductive method is to be used.
Okay, and so we'll go to the first question here about program income that is generated from a piece of equipment procured from an award significantly later. I'm guessing it's in the project period. Is it still expected to be reported as program income and the funds remitted back to NSF?
I wasn't quite sure if they meant it before the project ended or after the project.
Right. Yeah, it was hard to determine from the question.
So I'm not sure, but if the program income was earned before the award expired, then you would use it, and it is the additive method, then you would include it you would be able to use those funds as additional funds to the award. If it is after the award period, we don't require that you report that to us if you earn program income after the award ends.
Okay. Next question is somebody wondering if you can provide a little bit of context around when you talked about unallowable costs.
We were just trying to give you some examples. We do testing of expenditures, and we were just trying to give you an example of when you have an unallowable cost, what the scenario should be. That was an example of a scenario, excuse me. If that person can send me an email offline, I'll be happy to discuss it with them, but I don't have the slide.
Okay, and then I would also recommend, when it comes to unallowable costs, please do look in the NSF Proposal and Award Policies and Procedures Guide, which also incorporates the language from the Uniform Guidance on unallowable costs. So you do want to become familiar with both of those.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
And again, I think you may have answered this, but the question is, if the award document doesn't mention a method for program income, they should just use the additive method as default.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, are there any issues or preference in only submitting for reimbursement once expenses have been expensed versus taking the funds and then drawing them down? It seems like it would be more straightforward to request reimbursement after the fact based on actuals versus drawdown.
That is correct. And with the ACMS system, you can access the system 24/7, and it only takes up to 2-3 business days at the most to receive the funds. So reporting the actual expenses that you earn is on a reimbursement basis is always best.
Okay, and then the question about program income, does it mean earned income, or does it also include income gained through other sources that support a project?
It means income earned from the use of the project funds.
Right, so for example, if you had a piece of equipment that you charged other users to use,
right,
correct, then that would be an example of program income.
Yes.
Okay. If you can keep program income after an award is ended, are there rules about how those funds can be used?
I think you would have to refer to your institution's rules on that. We just don't require you to report it to NSF because it's after the award period.
Okay, here's a question on participant support for costs that were incorrectly drawn down. the funds were drawn down, but they should not have been. Would the funds need to be returned to NSF for participant support? The actual charges should have been charged to a different budget category.
Yes, they would need to be returned to NSF. We would recommend you do that as soon as you realize it. Mm-hmm.
Next question is, should we include accruals in a mid to late September drawdown, or is it okay that we have up to 2 weeks unrequested that we just request later?
You should include all accruals through September 30th.
Okay, and this was a question we may need more information on program income, an example of the additive method. I think this is coming from your example in the presentation about why the $25,000 was not added to the $500,000, with the total maximum reimbursement being $525,000. I think that may be related to your example, but I'm not quite sure. So we might need a little bit more information on that.
Yes, if they can send me an email to my email, and I will be happy to answer that question.
Dorothy, if you could put your email address into the chat to
Sure.
To all panelists and attendees, then they'll be able to do that. It looks like we don't have any more questions at the moment, so I do want to thank all of you for attending. I do want to thank you, Dorothy, for presenting and taking the time to answer these questions. I hope that people will be able to attend the additional sessions that we have going on the rest of this week. And I hope you all are well and stay safe. Thank you for attending.
Thank you very much.